How do you improve your relationship with your boss when they seem to have it out for you? Well, that's exactly the situation this next caller's in, and I give her a few tips on how to approach the issue. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel to hear me coach more live callers just like this one. Crystal, welcome to the show. How can I help you today?
Hi, my name is Crystal, and I had a workplace conflict question.
Sure.
My question to you would be, I work at a workplace where one of my bosses, I feel like, intentionally picks on me. And I don't know if that's racially motivated or not. And my question to you is, what shall I do?
Can you give me an example of what he or she does that feels like they're picking on you?
Yes. I've actually been at my job for a while. I got promoted to supervisor position. It's at a preschool. I'm trying to word it in a way where it's not offensive, but it is predominantly Spanish-speaking employees there, and I am not one of them. So I know my job very well. She would come in and she would, out of everybody in the room, there would be maybe 4 or 5 other employees in the room. She would come in and she'd say, "Oh, Chanel, you can't do that." And an example of that would be, say, for example, I was in the kitchen, I was washing dishes. We were within ratio, which is 4-1. And we were in ratio, and I was in the kitchen washing dishes, and she'd come in and she'd say, "Oh, you can't be in the kitchen. You need to be watching the children." But we were in ratio.
She tends to pick you out of everybody and tell you you're doing something wrong. And
Yes.
And really, she could apply that to anybody, but she chooses you, it seems like.
Yes.
Yeah. How long have you worked with her?
Well, not necessarily with her, but I've worked in the building in the company for 2 years now. She got promoted because when I started, she was not the assistant director.
Okay.
So she had probably been assistant director for about 6 months.
Okay, so this dynamic is new. 6 months old, essentially, where she's now your direct supervisor and she's been picking on you.
Correct.
So, there's 2 things that I typically recommend as a first stop along this route when someone feels like you don't have a good relationship, they seem to be biased against you in some way. Number one, I always try to say, how can you have a better relationship with her? Who knows what her reasoning is? But you might be right. She doesn't know you. You are different than her or the people she's used to. And so there's some bias against you potentially or not. Who knows why? The question is how can you develop some sort of trust, some sort of relationship with her so that you have a little bit of rapport with her, especially being this is a new dynamic. So is there an opportunity to say, hey, do you want to grab lunch one day? Or, hey, can we grab coffee one day? Just want to get to, now that I'm working under you and, you've got promoted, that's great. Would like to just get to know you a little bit and see, what you're looking for from me and see how I can support you in your, new role. Anything like that could set a good tone for the relationship and maybe start to build some trust. Do you think that you would be comfortable trying to do something like that?
No, not really. Here's another piece of information. She's the one who introduced me to my workplace.
Oh.
So we had a very good relationship before her position got to her head.
Oh, okay. When's the last time that you had any kind of like a positive interaction with each other?
We had one since she's been supervisor, but it was kind of forced on my end. I'm always respectful and cordial, but before she became assistant supervisor is when we had the best relationship.
I'm going to throw something at you. Unfortunately, if you've got a supervisor or any kind of coworker that you want a better dynamic with, and they don't seem to be proactive about doing it, it would be helpful to you to have that kind of relationship, a better relationship. You might have to be a little bit more proactive than you might otherwise be comfortable doing. So it's a little bit outside the comfort zone. And in that interaction, if you could ask her, hey, would love to grab lunch with you one day or something like that. In that interaction, I would recommend you do a few things. Number one, I would say, congrats on your new position. How can I support you better? First, starting off with you want to be there for her to support her in her new role. So that's one thing. Another thing would be probably, what is it that you see that could be improved upon? I want to get a little feedback. And then the third thing at that point, after you've gotten some feedback from yourself and how you can support her, at that point, the third thing probably would be, here is something that I would like to see improved if possible. And so you're going to give her a little feedback, but it will be very soft. And it would just be something like, I've noticed that since you've come into this new position, we haven't had as good of a relationship as we used to have. And I'd really like to get back there where we were before, because I really enjoyed our relationship. What do you think that I could do to improve it? Or what do you think that we should do differently so that we could have a really solid relationship now that I'm, sort of directly reporting to you? I know this is outside the comfort zone, but would you be up for trying this? Because I think that there's got to be some proactiveness to break this cycle, to break this pattern.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I would. In that way, I would. I would do it.
I think that would be great. How can I support you? Is there anything that I could be doing differently? And here's what I would like to see different. Would love to get back to that relationship. Those 3 things could be a good breaking point in the pattern and hopefully start sort of a new direction. And you might even request like, hey, after that meeting, if it goes well, you might even request, hey, could you and I get together once every couple of weeks for lunch and just have a chat and just check in with each other?
Yes, that sounds reasonable. Okay. I think so.
All right. Well, try that. See if it works. And, would love to hear how it goes. Happy to have you back on if you'd like to come back on and just tell us, how things are going, if it worked, if it didn't. But yeah, either way, would love to hear if something improves because of it.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
All right. Thanks so much, Crystal. Appreciate you coming on. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Peace Building with Dr. Pollack show. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more workplace conflict advice. Share on social media if you think your friends and colleagues would benefit from this episode. And if you have a workplace conflict and want to be a caller on our show for free coaching and advice, please email podcast@pollackpeacebuilding.com. Thanks.